We'll start once the key is ready. It's warming up. And we will continue with the Treemap. Oh. Let me commit this thing. We discovered this, right? As string instead of array U8 because big chunks of array U8 currently put a lot of load on the compiler. We may introduce due to converted back to AST and going through the messaging system that way. We may introduce a opaque version of arrays to remove this problem generally in the future. I did that real fast. That wasn't on the stream, but it's also not about the Treemap. It is a problem that we discovered from the Treemap. Okay, people, Treemap Viewer Part 5. There are a couple things I want to do. You can see I made a note here off stream. The whole plan of this was to do everything on stream, and we have, except I did make this note. Why does the Treemap not resize? I typed that off stream. Oh my God, it's just so I could remember. So now I will show you what I mean. When we run this, and we do our cool thing, this is a re-exported version of this program as of this morning. And you know, I can mouse around and stuff. When I resize the window, the way we programmed it was that it's supposed to adjust, but it doesn't, see? I still have Tiny Tim Treemap and it doesn't fit. So I had put in like an expression in the if statement, and maybe that's wrong. So we're just going to look at that. If dirty. Recompute if dirty. We shouldn't need to modify the source data, just the Treemap display, right? I feel like we're not calling this function. And the reason why is because we don't do operator equals on structs right now. We could, it's an option that we might support that. And I feel like maybe we should, but currently we do not. And so there's no way this would work. So like maybe we're just not calling recompute if dirty on that. That's my only theory. That's my only theory. So let's fix that. I think it's this file. Yeah, we have multiple files called Treemap. Recompute if dirty. We are calling it though. We are calling it. Maybe check to see whether it's the same size as last time. If it's the same aspect ratio, but whatever. If not, if so, return, otherwise we need to recompute. So like, why did this like break all of us? What the hell? Did we literally break? Okay. I don't know. Guys, I don't get it. We're gonna, hey, look, it works now. So we're just not generating an error message in the compiler. Let's just do it makes me sad. The way that we do operator overloads, just like everything else in the compiler, because of our feature set, it's so much more complicated than you would think. And oh, we don't need the plug. All right. And it just leads to things going wrong sometimes. Nope, not that. We're gonna run this, browse. So now this was the codex file before I fixed the getRect thing that we saw last night. And then here is, what I was just loading was the same program without that giant tumor in it. We just invented vector graphics. Not exactly. The reason we didn't just invent vector graphics is because the aspect ratio is different when you resize the window, right? So we actually have to repack. So like if I do this, it's a repacked tree map. Like if you memorize this down here, this little pattern with this doohickeys of blue, and then I enlarge, okay. It didn't change that much. I guess it changed. I don't know. Did it change? It must have. I mean, maybe most of the decisions are the same regardless of aspect. It did change because that was a different guy right there. See this? This guy is tan, and then he's blue. So he swapped places with somebody. Anyway. Yeah, like even here, we don't draw the borders. This is one of the options we're going to add next. Why was there a sound? I have all this crap running. Does zooming in still work? Yes, of course. Here this guy is like in the middle of his block. And then what is happening? I have to mute all my laptops because I don't know what's running on them. Mute. Okay. So the next step, I think, is I want to add some drop downs that control whether there are borders and how much. right? So we could have, for example, borders around modules, right? And thin, medium, or thick THICC. Except what we really want to do is show the thickness of the lines in the dropdown, which, by the way, the GetRect dropdown doesn't let us do that. So that'll be a fun side thing, is to just, it's going to be easy, but you just make it a little pluggable function on the theme to do that, to draw the text folio on there. So now, in order for that to work, first we should just implement the capability for borders around certain types of things. So you might want a border around a module, and you might want a different border around a file, right? Or maybe you just care about the functions and you want to look at it like this. So, and you sort of can tell, like, this is probably the hash table module, right? That's all one file. This is math, and it's got multiple files, right? This is one, and this is another. But it would help to see it, I think, sometimes. So we're going to add that capability. And, you know, you can't just add a border unless you draw over guys, which I don't want to do. So you actually have to repack the tree map when you add a border. And so here's the thing, is the way that we have it structured. Let's go back to the tree map file. Recall we have display node, right, and tree map display, which basically just holds those, and then tree map node. Now when we say resize the display, we don't have these nodes. We don't know how many there are or whatever, right? And it gives us these back. Now, I'm trying to think of, there's one thing we could do is have a border size on here that's initialized to 0, but after you resize it, maybe you could walk that and set the borders, but that doesn't work because it's already resized. And like I said, the borders change the aspect ratio. And if, I mean, maybe you assume not by enough to matter, but it probably does. But maybe it doesn't. So that's one thing, is if you're just going to walk and set the border. But then, okay, the problem with that is then the coordinates of everything inside have to change. So there has to be a post pass anyway. So maybe I don't like that, right? So option number 2 is that on the tree map display, or in the rebuild if dirty, maybe is better, you pass a function that could be null, and in which case we don't do anything. But if it's non-null, then every node that it visits, it asks you what the border size should be, and then maybe there's going to be other properties later. But that's what I'm leaning toward. And the thing is, it could look at the node, it could look at our user data on the node. This is why we have to do that, is because the tree map system doesn't understand what we're putting in it at all. It doesn't know about modules or whatever, right? And so the thing is, if, okay, here's a question about what's simpler, right, or faster or whatever. If we had display-oriented things on this node, like maybe we had a border size on here, we would have to iterate over all the nodes and set that. But once we did that, the display could use that. But it's a little bit dirty. But, you know, one thing I've learned in programming is that what they would teach you in school was a little bit dirty is maybe not that dirty, okay? But that's one way to do it. Another way to do it, like I said, is to just, you give a function that we call every time. And the good thing about that is if you have different displays, they could all have different border sizes, and it's not a weird hack or whatever. So maybe let's keep it that way. That's sort of what conclusion I'm coming to. What about inset border of module file group? So the aspect ratio or tile width heights does not change. I don't know what you mean by inset border. Because either you're covering dudes up who are small, which is bad, or you're changing the aspect ratio. I don't understand what other options there are. I mean, okay, wait. You could have borders that have different thickness horizontally and vertically so that you don't change the aspect ratio. But that looks like crap. That does not look professional. We are fucking professionals, like Mr. Pink. Okay? I hope you all know who Mr. Pink is. Gonna hide small dudes. Yeah. Dude, whenever I was in New York, I would always go to Two Boots Pizza and get a slice of the Mr. Pink. I think Two Boots is closed. Is that what I heard? They were not doing well, and then they died during COVID. The pizza used to be a lot better back in the day, and it's been slowly getting worse. Mr. Pink from Breaking Bad, no. Yes, Mr. Pink does not tip. Two Boots is still around. Okay. Did they close some of them? I know last I was there was like the one, I forget where it is. There was one on the east side that was open. And there was one kind of down like by Houston that was open. Yeah, I don't actually think New York pizza is very good. I think New Yorkers are wrong about that, except Two Boots is okay. There's like 6 now? Oh, no way, it's coming back. It's coming back. There was like one by Columbia, I think. I don't know. I might, I'm tempted to go to New York sometime, but I keep hearing from some people that it's a hellhole, and some people are like, oh, it's great, it's better than ever, and like, I don't believe those latter people. So, I also had a sad time in New York. I lived there for a year and it sucked, so, yeah, when I go back, it's in a different mindset. Just don't try to defend yourself. Well, yeah. Do we even draw all the small dudes? Right now we do. Here's the thing. I do think we should probably cull small dudes if you have a, because you might draw a really, 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 really big tree map, right? With a lot of nodes. So maybe we would cull small dudes, but like I think they would have to be so small that you don't really, they would have to map to like a subpixel probably for that to be a good idea, because otherwise you're not giving people information, right? Even if they map to a subpixel, you're kind of cutting out information, right? Like I think we would map dudes together instead of just completely culling them, right? And that's like a whole different thing that we're not doing right now, and I don't want to think, we're not going to do it this weekend. Okay. Do I control my mind to not involve into strong emotions? No, I'm not a Buddhist. I don't think that whole part of Buddhism makes sense. I mean, I get it, like, it does make sense in a limited context. I get it. But, like, somehow these things get turned into everybody should live that way, and doesn't make sense. That is my humble opinion. Okay. let's do some programming, because I maybe only have another 35, 40 minutes. Okay, we're going to add a function to recompute if dirty, and border proc is, let's put this before force. Border proc is going to be something that takes, I think we want to give you the dimensions of the outer limits. That's a vector 2. Oh wait, I'm typing the wrong thing here. Outer dimensions is a vector 2, and we're going to give you the node. We might want to give you some other stuff, but right. And then border width is a float. Okay. Let's define this so that people can, we're going to call it border proc. That's not a very good name, but here we go. Okay, no check-in document border proc. Okay, so when we give you the border proc, okay, that's got to go into size children, which actually makes it more expensive because it's a recursive function, except later, after this is all done, I think we want to make it non-recursive. By the way, I realized something else. Not to sidetrack for a second, so the reason, here's the thing, right? We do all the work for individual children and stuff, and then we flush them, and then we iterate over all children when we're done and size them. And the thing is, the order in which we do this totally doesn't matter, which means when we flush nodes, if we just push them onto a stack and there's some outer loop that pops the guy off the stack and calls this, then we're not recursive anymore, and it's trivial. And it's probably actually a little bit cleaner. So I would like to make that change later, but only after, only after. Okay, so root size, root corner, root weight. Okay, so here's the thing. If border proc, border colon equals, border proc, my brain just took a break, border proc with root size, comma, root, okay? And then if border, root corner dot x plus equals border, root corner dot y plus equals border, root size dot x minus equals 2 times border, right? We're just shrinking it by that. Okay? Cool. Cool Holio. And it compiles. Okay, we're going to make a border proc now. I'm going to kill this main so it makes it easier to switch buffers. If dirty, oh, that's not even here. It's not even there. If dirty, recompute if dirty, treemap border proc. Okay, treemap border proc is going to be the following. Now, the user data S64, yes. Type is cast treemap node type node.user data S64 if type is equal to case procedure case where is it? Module. Module will go big to small. Biggie smalls. Module file procedure. Okay. Procedures always, we're going to have 0 border because I don't think there's any reason to do that. Return file border size, return module border size. Now, here's the thing. What happens if I give you a border that's too big? We'll figure that out in a bit. I'm going to write that down here. No check-in. What about borders that are too big? Okay, so module border size. I'm just going to put, all right. We're gonna fix this and make it reasonable in a bit. Oh, yeah. Hey, look. Now, we are not currently drawing anything in the module borders, right? So when we draw a module node, instead of drawing a big ass rectangle behind it, which we could do, that's sort of the lazy balls way to do it. Yeah, I don't know. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put 6 pixels and 3, and we're gonna say module border color is, I guess something brighter. 1. Oh, we should save, okay, on the display node, by the way. We put the border, all right? Border equals 0, may be overridden below. Okay. Cool, cool Holio. Now, display node. Wait, did I put it in the wrong place? I put it in the wrong place. I put it here. That is not right. Only non-zero if requested by the user. This will only be non-zero. Okay. So, when we draw the frickin' tree map, if it's got children, oh, wait. We actually already do all this stuff. All right, so we're just going to draw a quad. Actually, just like in border proc, we're going to go here, color, color equals module border color, color equals file border color. All right. And we're going to draw a quad. And we're going to be so lazy. Clean up. Being lazy here for fill rate reasons, but also avoiding hairline cracks. Being lazy here in ways that elevate fill rate. In principle, we should just draw 4 rectangles around, and that would look better too if we are making things look nice. Okay, so P0, 1, 2, 3, color. Okay. We never defined these. We're going to go 0.7.3.31 and file. I never know what's going to clash because the background is slightly red. Maybe we don't want that. Files could be a little bit yellow. Just non-intense yellows look kind of sickly. So I don't know. User data S64 is not a member of display node. What? Oh, it's on the node. Okay. Node. Okay, but this is different. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so we have sickly, I guess I meant yellow. I guess that's yellow, but it looks kind of green. So this is definitely pretty readable. If you know what I'm saying. Look at that beautiful green. Wow, is this? Modules basic windows is like a tiny ass file. See, this is the problem. We almost have too much of a border for this thing, right? Also, here's the issue, guys. If you just do border on the rectangle, you have like double borders between guys. Maybe you only want a 1 thick here. You know what I'm saying? Maybe interior borders are not as THICC as exterior borders. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be that hard to fix, I don't think, but I would rather add the rest of the functionality we were talking about first. Okay, so this color is no bueno. And we have a little bit of a challenge. In fact, even maybe the module border is no bueno. Like the thing is, we want the hot and cold colors to tell us things. And this is sort of a warm color. So I'm actually going to do this. We're going to grayscale it, and we're just going to see how that feels. Oh God, that's terrible, but it might just be that it's too dark. Now we're not really using anything in the green range. That's too bright. This is the problem with compile, edit, debug to set colors. This is not that readable, if I'm being honest, compared to the other thing, right? Let's try one more. Let's actually go negatory. We're going to go darker on files because they're thinner and it makes a contrast. We're going to see. That looks better, but not that good because I don't like the deep trenchantness in here. But okay, let's try green for files. Might be too bright. Green is bright. Green is the brightest color channel. Okay. None of this looks as good as just the fucking tree map by itself with no borders, right? Like that looks the most beautiful to me, but you know, this gray, you know, honestly is not that bad. Let me just try. Slightly green. He's only mostly green. It's not great. We can play with it later. I think modules should be slightly thinner. Okay, well that gets us to our next features because we're going to let you pick the border size for the modules. And again, it would be thinner if we fix this double border problem, which I think is fixable. It's not that easy being green, I know, man. I know. Maybe border should scale with zoom. No, so you can't really do that because you have to repack the tree map again. Like, I mean, sometimes if you just don't worry about it, it's fine, right? I do think the width of this trench is not necessary, right? So let's try, although again, it's double width every time you see it. Well, maybe not. Like, wait, why isn't this double width out here? Or why is this the same? I don't get it. Guys, why isn't this doubled on the inside? It's thinner on the top right. I mean oh, so this is not doubled. This is doubled. So this is, oh, it's doubled because the root node, guys, the root node exists. We don't set the field, so it is field index 0, which is, guess what? Module. How's that for a diagnosis of cirrhosis? Okay, so now, I mean, I don't know what's going on out here, but we're at least not doubled up on the outside anymore. So we could have our border proc also return a Boolean about whether doubles are okay. No, you know what this is? This is something that's so thin we went negative, like 00 negative in the Goonies. All right. We went 00 negative. So we have to fix that. Remember when I said, what about borders that are too big? I'll tell you about borders that are too big. For now, maybe we'll maybe clamp them. We'll Jed clamp it. Not max, min. Don't let us go negative in any direction. That's a problem. Now you can of course anticipate this because you can see I pass you the dimensions when I ask what border you want, and you can choose to think about that and pick a thinner border, because the problem is, yeah, there we go, no more 00 negative, but you know, probably something is shrunken very small. Oh yeah, it's this dude right here. Like what? Modules random. Why is that at the border? Anyway. Can we try and have the borders? Well, I mean, sure, but I mean, it'll probably look better, but I kind of don't want to do that. We can readjust it later, no big deal. I mean, this looks better, right? So we could have border flags that say apply border on the outside, apply border on the inside, etc., right? Clamp to size over 2. It's a good point. That's more correct. Because we're still going to go 00 negative because we multiply it by 2. Okay. So, is that still hanging out up there? No. Okay. This is fine for now. It's a little bit ugly, but we will figure that out later. Like this really thin file border size is, to be honest, pretty good. You know, it's the module border size is too big, and the colors are not differentiated enough. But like I said, these are going to be toggleable anywho. And so let's add a thing. So I want to put these like over here where the primary sort and secondary sort and stuff are. We're going to have things that say module width, border width, right? And I don't really want to give people a slider or something because that's just silly. We can give them like 4 options, right? So border thickness is an enum of none, thin, medium, thick. We're not going to double C it. Very thick. All right, we're just going to do that. Border thickness names. All right, well, okay. So now, how let's just draw the things. Oh, we don't do it in this file. I don't think we do it in this file either. We do it in here. No. Draw metrics. At some point I'm going to have to refactor these files because put these here. Okay, graph type. Okay, what was the, it was the sorting stuff. So sort, primary sort and all that. Okay. Okay, we do the drop down with metric the same. Okay. I'm going to put these same ass things here. All right. We're not even going to change them yet. Going to make sure they're where we want. Okay. Oh wait, we got minimum size also. Okay. So now, where's minimum size? Wait, what? Oh, that's happening. That's happening no matter what. Let's put that only here. All right. Okay, so we don't have that now, but if I go to rows, we do. And we're probably going to want like an include modules checkbox, all these things. Okay, so metric, drop down. So this is going to be module border. Right, and this is going to be border thickness names. Okay, and then file border thickness. See that The interface for getRect, I didn't want to make it polymorphic. And so you always change an S32 and then decide what you want to do based on that S32. Is that good? I don't know. Okay. So we're going to have now, how do we know when these update, right? Why does this not have spaces? Who did this? Who been fucking with my code? Drop down state. This doesn't tell me when it changed. Okay, well, we're going to do it this way. What did we call it? I really would like something more convenient a little bit, but I'm not sure what is the best way to do it. Okay. Okay, so in simulate, see if our thickness settings changed. Here. So here, this means the value changed. So we copy it, and then we say treemap display.dirty is true to force a thing, right? And then the same with file. Okay, now this doesn't line up. This just seems like more variables than I would like to do this. All right. So get pixels. All right. We're going to base it, I don't know, like W is cast float window width. H is cast float window height. Mean is square root of W times H. Because, like, what if there's just a lot of pixels? What if it's a vertical window? What if it's a horizontal window? You don't know, right? So we're taking sort of in between, and then we're going to say if case, oh, we got to return a float. Case none, well, then return 0, because obviously, right? Case thin, I should really put these here, because this is the code that talks about this. All right, thin, return W times. So if it's 1024, right, thin would be like 0.001, right? Let's say factor equals, so that's 1 pixel out of 1,000, right? Or what about 2 out of 4K, right? That's thin. Medium, thick, and thick. You know what? This is just actually 0.005, 0.000001, right? 0.003, I don't know, and then 0.010, right? Okay, and then pixels is, we're just gonna round to integer, although I'm not sure that there's really a point in doing that, because we're not, see, this is a weird thing where we're not really rounding to integer when we compute the tree maps. So let's not bother. Let's just see how it looks. This is probably going to look shitty. Factor times mean, and then, you know what? Since the mean, I think there. Okay, so if pixels is less than 1, pixels equals 1. Return pixels. Pixels. No, compile, please. Thick is not what? Oh, yeah. That's only for the audience. Okay, so all right. Module border thin, thick. Okay, it's literally not changing at all. Let's see if we get here. Wait. What? What? Module thickness, I see. Oh, my assignment is the wrong way, guys. I hope somebody caught that. Hope you caught that. Okay. Medium. Thick. That's pretty thick. And medium. Medium thin. This is kind of classy. Yeah, the double thickness now is the annoying. So I may be running out of time. So shush. For this stream, but you know. So I do think maybe the next step is the double thickness. You could also imagine like you can imagine only wanting file borders on the interior, right? Like you could imagine wanting to avoid avoid doubles, which means half thickness on the interior. But you could also want half thickness on the interior and 0 outside, right? Because the thing is, a file border is redundant. It's redundant if it's on the outside, because you know it's a file, because it's also a module border, right? And you don't really see it here, but if we zoom in, you can see, right? So like all you really want is these. These are silly. So we could have, you return an enum of what kind of border that you want. Is interior only, etc. Although to be honest, what if it's just interior only always? Do you really ever want exterior borders on anything? Like exterior just seems noisy. You like it without outlines at all? Well, I think it looks the best without outlines. Or although this doesn't look too bad, right? But for understanding the data, like now I can see what's a module a lot better, right? What if it was padding instead of borders? I don't know what that means. Yeah, but like in terms of understanding the data, I understand it better here. This actually doesn't look bad, to be honest. So maybe we just need to be a lot thinner on the borders. But when there's a module border and a file border, it's hard. It's hard to figure out because they're hard to tell apart, right? And then what does interior only mean for files? It means only when there isn't already a module border in your parent. Right? Because if you're in the middle, well, in the middle, I guess a file, okay, wait, files always have modules as parent. That's what I just said was nonsense. Never stack borders, never have borders touching borders. Yeah, it's just, I'm not sure. Okay, here's the thing, right? We never have modules inside modules right now, so you don't get doubling. You get doubling due to guys being next to each other, but you don't get doubling due to guys being inside each other, right? With files, we have both. You have file next to file, but file inside module. So you have doubling between this, right, here, which is not really necessary. And you have doubling here because these guys are next to each other. So I actually want to think about it a bit. Would we have enough colors if we have a bunch of we're not changing the color per module. It's just a constant border color. Like this looks pretty good, honestly, except that it's aliasing a little bit. And then this looks, honestly, the way thin is coming out for both of these is kind of fine. It's just, the doubling needs to go, and then the sizes probably need to be increased to make up for the fact that doubling is gone. Anyhow, okay, then I'm actually wondering if there's any case, like if you say, for example, file borders are only drawn on the left and the bottom when it's interior. Does that work? Do we mess something up? And then we need to, because it's a general library, we need a way to express that to the library. Can you try it with Sokoban? All right. I should make it so we can just reload. Okay. Well, this is going to be a little different, isn't it? I should recompute this. Let's rebuild Sokoban. Because we fixed that getrect thing, so well, fixed is, whoops, that's the wrong place. Bro. All right. Here we go. We've still got this giant tumor over here that we will figure out at some point. But yeah, so module medium. That's pretty good. Like, here's the main program, right? And then here's WYs, which there's a lot of shit there. Bucket array with a ton of polymorphs. Basic. Getrect. Getrect is smaller than basic? Oh, because basic just has a shitload of polymorphs, that's why. Yeah, we need better polymorph deduplication. And there's no way we need this many. Hash table. Multiply, polynomial. Like, this is nice, right? Let's make it all big, like Kanye the Giant. Let's put some file borders. I mean, this is uglier, but if you want to understand the data, it's not bad. Now, here's a thing we could do though, right? Instead of, like, we could always, like, draw alpha blended borders that are not opaque, you know, that just like layer over, etc. But I think, see, these guys are really tiny compared to this border size, and I think the border size is not bad. I mean, it looks, if we didn't have the doubling, it would look like this. I think that's a okay border size. It's maybe a little bit big. Anyhow, Like, why is every new array this big? 132? Seems weird. Although, things that are static if'd out count. Yeah. Direct 3D 12. Windows. Simple package. Runtime support crash handler. Clipboard. System. Yeah, it's really interesting. Some of these are not very big, and then these guys are chonkers. Yeah, we instantiate a lot of bucket arrays. And yeah, I would like to figure out a way to deal with that. What does coloring represent? It's the metric up here, right? So I need a refresh to center, right? So this is a code quality metric that's a linear combination of all this other stuff. So the orange things are like places that are worse on average by this code quality metric. And the blue things are things that are pretty good. But who knows? So the more blue it gets, the better, right? Does this include dead code elimination? Yes. Yes. So things that you don't call that are outside your main we don't by default dead code eliminate on your main program. So yeah. These are all functions. These front underscore are all things that we dynamically generate. Don't expect them to be this big. Although I guess, I don't know, they're not that big. These ones are tiny. Tiny Tims. Anyway, guys, this might be the place to end the stream. Let me see. I was going to meet a friend for lunch. Well, are there any questions about what we did here? Are there any etceteras? Lunch, it's almost 5? No, it's not almost 5. What's next? I think improving the borders is next. Oh, we need to document in the header file as well. Maybe I'll do that at the end of the stream here. If I don't get a reply real soon on my phone. Could have an option to show module names. Let's see. I mean, I think they had that in the paper. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what this control is. Margin. I don't know whether you mean on top or on the sides, right? You just like the title bars. I don't think I like the title bars that much. I don't think title bars are good. I would rather have the data together and then you draw the title down here as you hover or something for a program. Maybe that's not right. I don't know. But like even here, the title bars start breaking down because these are small. And when you have a lot of dynamic range in the sizes of things, it's like, eh. Having the names on the blocks is useful, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if, see, the thing about this is, it's maybe useful, it's maybe annoying. I'm not sure which. Can show more title when zooming in. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, when I'm just doing this, it's like I could tell what things are as soon as I hover, right? And the thing is, there's so many, like, okay, especially if you talk about file names. If you were to try to draw file names, it's way too many freaking things, right? If, on the other hand, you're just going to draw module names, it's like, okay, main program here. And then even once you start getting here, like, I can't read the module names. They're fucking too small. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got it. It helps a lot when making these decisions to look at the actual data that you have. Like, most modules are pretty small. Like, it's power law like anything, right? It's like this guy's, 50 times as big as this one or whatever, 100 times. So things that don't work with that much dynamic range are not great. Now that said, this probably should be several times smaller than it is, at least, if we can get a grip on polymorphs. Fix a double border and this is shippable. Yeah, I mean, in terms of keeping the scope to weekend project, the thing about UI stuff is you could go insane tweaking things by 1 pixel for days, right? It takes a lot of time. And so I think that's the next step, is just to think about the border things. And maybe in this UI, I could imagine in this UI having the file borders be like I would call these intrusive borders because they stick in and change the layout. But for minor things, having this just be on top and subtle might be fine. Does the height versus the width represent anything? No. That's just an artifact of the way that we are packing the data. You have to pack it somehow, right? So it's really just the size. Yeah, no, I'm happy with this. This is good stuff. Good stuff. So here's the thing. All right, yeah, I'm going to sign off, but I will. We'll continue this in another part because it's going well, and I'm just thinking about, avoiding the double border thing and whatever. If our border proc returns flags for which side to put the border on, and if it takes as input also the parent node, right? Because you kind of want to say like, oh, to avoid double nesting border, we look at the parent node and see if we're on the parent border, right? Yeah, and so we'll make these work together, and then maybe we'll just change how file borders work anyway so they're non-intrusive. I don't know. That's ugly. Looks like a computer science paper. Actually, the interior is not ugly, but yeah. What do I think of something like this? Okay, I'm not going to click on it on the stream. I'm just here. What? That doesn't look at all. That looks like some pixel art shit. What? What? No. No. Can we see thick, thick? Thick, thick is going to be bad. This is going to be bad news. Oh my God. Now it's interesting though. Oh yeah, we were just, okay. See, the thing is we draw a border around the edge that's not scissored to, so we couldn't see the thick up here, but now we see it. So that's thick and that's thick. Oh my goodness. There's data somewhere. There's data somewhere. I don't know where. There's data in them there hills. Boom. Thin. Look at that. Look at that. Probably the line size should not scale with zoom. I already said that doesn't make sense, because you'd have to recompute the coordinates of everything. Or, I mean, you could like non-uniformly scale. I don't think that makes sense. I don't think that makes sense. I mean, maybe you could figure out how to do it, but yeah. If you click, you could, yeah, I mean, you could imagine like double click means zoom in on this one or something, right? Or whatever. Right click means zoom back out. All right. Thank you, everybody, and I will see you later on.